We have a last presentation left by Omer, the CEO of Infinidome, has a wide experience in GPS, in critical infrastructures, set up this company in order to develop solutions to ensure the proper operation, smooth operation in this field. And the floor is yours. Hi, everybody. Before I start, I'd like to ask the audience here, who, according to his ways, was in Amman or Cairo, according to the instructions of their ways? Well, almost everybody. Just to explain, who is interested in jamming GPS? It called for an effort in the past, but today everybody understands. Everybody in Israel and abroad understands. So not unlike Itai, we do not create cool platforms, but we make sure that we make sure that they can operate with non-interfere GPS. We all know, we all heard about GPS. GPS is a group of between 24 and 30 satellites orbiting the Earth, about 30 kilometers above ground. There are other satellites of the Chinese, the Russian, the European, Galileo, and others, about 100 of them that can be used for the purpose of navigation. But at the end of the day, they all broadcast on the same frequencies, about 1,500 to 2,000 megahertz. And finally, the signal taken in by our phones or our tanks is the same one, and it is quite weak. If you take a bulb of 20 watts, you ignite it in Berlin and try to see the light in Tel Aviv. This is the power of GPS. That is why it can be so easily jammed. Now, how do they jam? You can buy that at AliExpress. I don't recommend it, but it's feasible. These are things that you can buy for $20 or $30, anything in between. And you can put this on, and it will do a wonderful job. It will jam GPS for maybe a couple of dozens of meters. On the right, something more familiar, which is already military size, like a rifle, and they can intercept and jam GPS on a longer range, and on the left, those that are Russian-sized and can jam on a state level. This is a free website that you can see, and many times a jamming of GPS are a testimony that of warfare going on or warfare about to start. In Israel, before the 7th of October, there was a very strong jamming, and since then it has become more and more intense. On the right is Ukraine. At the beginning, there's a whole no-fly zone. But as we evolved from 2022, the Russians improved and further improved their EW, their electronic warfare. And at the end of 22, the world looks a lot more red. This is in October, last month. This is Europe. We can see that today. In effect, there are many countries well beyond the area, the conflict zone, are under attack. Romania, Poland, Germany, Latvia, Estonia, Finland, Norway, they're all under an active attack on the part of Mr. Putin. And we can see that very often this attests to the fact that it is going to become something beyond a soft kill. Can you imagine what is that little island under attack here? Taiwan. everybody is preparing for the fact that the United States will fight China in Taiwan in 2027, and even now we can see many battling trends, fighting trends evolving. The shape of warfare has changed. In the past, it was with very large and costly platforms. Today, the UAVs are smaller, cheaper, can be massively produced, can be dispatched massively, and again and again. But without the capability of these things to navigate autonomously, we lose the one-to-many capabilities. We cannot have an operator on every UAV. One operator should be able to fly an army of UAVs, and this does not happen if there is no autonomy, if there is no independent navigation capability. And what we can see in Ukraine is that they changed the game with their capabilities because the Russians have raised the level, and they are throwing about 20,000 UAVs, and the Ukrainians are jamming. And what was the GMLRS, the JDAM, they are much less effective because they don't have enough defense, and also because the EW capabilities of the Russians allow this to happen. And here we know that because of the big threats that face us from all our enemies, we see that we have raised considerably our jamming capabilities for defense purposes. Daniel Agari has said that, the IDF spokesman, and this has caused quite a lot of operational problems. And yes, sometimes platforms have crashed because of jamming that we have carried out with the State of Israel, not our company. And this, of course, interferes with precise agriculture, with a lot of applications that rely on GPS that do not work the moment there is those jamming and crippling effects. So the question is, how can we solve this? How can we help our forces solve the problem? And this entails 4 stages. First, we have a multi-constellation and multi-band in every constellation. We can help you do that. Select those receivers that can work with as many constellations as possible and as many bands as possible. And this, by default, makes it difficult for whoever it is, whether friend or foe, to jam the frequencies that you need. And this is easy. The second thing, it is the capability of the Americans today. A few places outside of the U.S. have that. The encrypted GPS, it's called M-code today. It used to be called SASM. It's called M-code today. These are encrypted and controlled receivers. They are costly. They are good. It's better. They do not avoid it. They do not prevent it completely. But, there's spoofing. But if you can afford M-code, by all means. The third level is what we do, protect your existing receivers. There are solutions like ours that are completely retrofit. You can work with your receiver. You can work with off-the-shelf antennas. And to add to your equipment, to connect a module, connect to several antennas, and transform your existing receiver, on which you have all the certifications, to make it much more sturdy and provide it 100 times stronger defense. There are solutions also for small ones, also for bigger ones. Don't assume that today the privilege for defense is only provided by the large and costly UAVs. The last stage is, how can we create several layers of defense? This is what we do with Honeywell, our partners, and with others as well. And the solution here holds that how can we take several tools and have a sensor fusion in order to have a system that can navigate not only in a challenging area, but also when our GPS is completely jammed, completely denied. You have an alternative navigation, radar-based, that can also work in conditions of low visibility, INS, inertial navigation, even in full GPS denial. And the idea is how to properly integrate those. We talk about successful cohabitation. Well, this is the idea, how to do it in the most efficient manner. We know that since the 7th of October, the world in the field of GPS is completely different, but this is not static. Things evolve, things change. This world of denial of service, of jamming, is becoming like cyber. It is constantly evolving and changing and constantly challenging. Somebody, I think from NetOne, said that it's like a cat and mouse game. It's true. Also in the electronic warfare world, and a defense system that does not update itself and tries to even precede an attack is not good enough. This is what we're trying to do in Infinidome. There is a quote that as those who are able to adapt and change with the enemy are called divine. If you cannot predict what your enemy is about to do, you will stay behind. This is what we do at Infinidome. We understood that the world is different, it has changed, and what we did, we said, hold our horses. We took our teams in the north, in the south, in the east, and we learned. We tried to understand how can we update our systems, certainly improve our future systems in order not to face only what we are seeing today, but how to prepare an infrastructure that can be modernized for what we are about to meet tomorrow. And we brought in something that we called software-defined anti-jamming, which is a very rich software layer inside our modules that can be updated. The algorithms can be updated. Even the products that you buy from us today, we can improve them and upgrade them in a year from now. Also, the arena that we are witnessing can change in the future. One of the things that we're toying with now is to see if we can adapt even locally our products for a given specific arena. We have the flexibility today to look at these things. And one of the things that we keep looking at is how do we push towards smaller products, lighter products, and cheaper products, because we want to render this technology accessible not only to the large, heavy, and costly equipment, but also to the small UAVs, sometimes whose mission is sometimes no less important. I like to call this the democratization of GPS protection. Thank you very much.